Last week, an injured Ben Roethlisberger was replaced by Terry Bradshaw, who threw 3 interceptions, but the Steelers still won the game against Cincinnati at home. And now the Steelers, atop the AFC, are just 1 game away from clinching a playoff spot. Meanwhile, the top wildcard position belongs to the 9-3 all-time Browns. Week 14 of the all-time rosters franchise begins on Thursday night between division rivals Cleveland and Pittsburgh. 14 NFL championships and many Hall of Fame players distribute these two phenomenal franchises. The Steelers would get things going in Pittsburgh with a 57-yard touchdown to Franco Harris, but the fourth quarter of a game up for grabs was filled with Steelers mistakes. The Roethlisberger fumble recovered by Bob Gain, followed by a lapsed coverage from the Steelers, resulting in an 82-yard touchdown from Lavelli. Another turnover here from the Steelers, and a third in the later portion of the fourth quarter would give Cleveland a resounding win on the road, 20-10. Here's a look at the playoff picture out of the NFC after Week 13. All-time Rams and all-time Packers share the best record of the conference at 9-3 overall, but for Green Bay, both the NFC East leading Cowboys and the division rival Bears are only a game back of them at 8-4. A lot to play for in Titletown, Raiders at Packers. The Sunday docket begins with a good one. Fred Biletnikoff with his first of 2 touchdown catches. Unfortunately for his teammate Bo Jackson, he coughs up a fumble on the catch, returned for a touchdown for the wrong team. In for the injured Ray Nitschke, the starting linebacker Bill Forrester returns for 6. Brett Favre, the gunslinger from southern Mississippi, he had some highlights, including this 76-yard touchdown to the Alabama Antelope. Biletnikoff back in the end zone. Raiders up 3 and make it 10 as Willie Brown, the Hall of Famer, accustomed to pick sixes, has another one like in Super Bowl 11. Down by 10 to the second half, no problem for Brett Favre, who's in for the injured Aaron Rodgers. A touchdown pass here to James Lofton. Then down a field goal, he got some help from linebacker Nick Barnett, the number 2 behind Forrester, who nearly returns for a touchdown. Green Bay would punch it in with Amon Green a few plays later. Into the fourth quarter, the Packers now lead by 4. Aaron Jones, the third-string running back, is denied, getting Stabler a chance. It has been yet another 2-minute opportunity for this offense. Stabler threw the critical interception against Zach Thomas and the Dolphins earlier this year, and this time has the most inopportune drop to his very reliable Tim Brown en route to a Green Bay defeat 35-24. Brutal drop for the Raider receiver. Meanwhile, Don Hudson is catching everything this year. 3rd in receptions, 1st in yards, and 1st with 11 touchdown catches, and a phenomenal year for Hudson. The all-time Falcons, Michael Vick, and the all-time Panthers, Cam Newton, ranked number 2 and number 3 respectively on the all-time quarterback rushing list, and it is Superman who lunges in for the Carolina touchdown. Matthew Bosher throws an incomplete pass here, and for the Falcons, after that turnover, Michael Vick would commit another one, a scoop and score, yet another end zone call from Hall of Famer Kevin Green. Panthers, who are out of the division race right now, needed to win today against Atlanta, and they got it. A phenomenal performance in all 3 phases. Josh Norman, the Pro Bowler from Coastal Carolina, seals the win for the Panthers. Michael Vick throws for 366 yards, but also has 2 turnovers. Meanwhile, at a Ford Field in Detroit, the loser of this NFC North clash is essentially eliminated from postseason contention. All-time Vikings, all-time Lions. Speaking of scrambling quarterbacks, Hall of Famer Fran Tarkenton is in from the goal line, and the Vikings would enjoy the early 7-0 lead. Tarkenton with another touchdown, this one to Anthony Carter, just his first of the year. Amon-Ra St. Brown has had a couple already this season and gives the Lions the lead, but into the third quarter, Minnesota's Chris Carter, all he does is catch touchdowns, is in again. Play of the day, Keith Millard, the forced fumble, and Jared Allen, the fumble recovery at the 2-yard line. And then the Vikings would play keep away from here on out. With 3 minutes remaining in the game, Peterson runs the Vikings to the goal line, and then 3 plays later into the end zone. Adrian Peterson now has 9 touchdown runs this year. The highest-rated quarterback in football with another hat trick for Minnesota, and a Vikings road win 35-17. By far and away, the best passer rating in football is Fran Tarkenton, and the most rushing yards in this league is the Hall of Famer out of Oklahoma State in Barry Sanders. Starter Mark Brunell broke his collarbone last week against the Chargers, so the new starting quarterback is David Garrard, Pro Bowler who played with Jacksonville from 2002 to 2010. 74 yards late in the game on Monday night. David Garrard, horrible performance in the first half. Ronde Barber, who's had a phenomenal year, picks off his 5th pass of the season, and Tampa Bay would punch it in a few plays later. Donnie Abraham didn't need a few plays to punch it in here. 21-0. David Garrard, his bad day got worse as he goes down with an injury here and is out for the remainder of the year. The injury update tomorrow for the all-time roster franchise. So into the game is Trevor Lawrence, the former first overall pick. He'd watch Maurice Jones-Drew celebrate in the end zone, but Lawrence had to highlight himself late in the game. A touchdown to Jimmy Smith, but it was too little too late. Jacksonville's quarterback situation is getting ugly late in the season, and the Jags drop one at home 28-14. Congratulations to the current league leader at interceptions, Hall of Famer from Virginia, Ronde Barber. The all-time Eagles came into the day as the NFC's number 9 seed, so this really was a must-win for them against the division-leading Dolphins, and they would do just that in Miami. Cunningham, a 63-yard touchdown to his home run threat, and Mike Quick for the Eagles. Philadelphia knocks out the Dolphins in South Florida 20-10. The man who retired in the early 50s is the NFL's all-time leading passer in Sammy Baugh, and Tom Brady did the same in the 2020s. Two of the best signal callers of all time meet the nation's capital. 7-5 Patriots, 6-6 Redskins Commanders. Another touchdown pass from Baugh, 16th of the year, and this was the play of the day. All sorts of time he buys in the pocket and finds Charlie Taylor for the touchdown. Now with Art Monk back and healthy, this Washington offense is rolling in the NFC. Touchdown here from Wes Welker. We're tied at 17 late in the game, but not for long. Another score from Bobby Mitchell. A hat trick from Baugh, and Washington leads by 7. Brady is sacked here by Charles Mann, and they would not get the ball back as John Riggins would work the clock and win the game over New England Boston 24-17. The all-time Titans Oilers just watched the remaining AFC division leaders get embarrassed in Week 14 of the year, and more of the same for the first-place club out of the AFC South. Deuce McAllister with an 80-yard touchdown run. Warren Moon, who's had a rough second half of the year, tosses another pick six to Tom Myers, part of a Saints drubbing on the road in Nashville. New Orleans wins it 38-24. Two MVP quarterbacks who have struggled in the playoffs meet from Baltimore. Peyton Manning against Lamar Jackson. Already 3,034 yards passing from Peyton Manning. That's first in football, and he would toss another big one of 33 to Reggie Wayne, capped off by an Edgerrin James touchdown. But you knew Lamar Jackson would have some response into the fourth quarter. He tosses a beauty to Derek Mason. Then on 4th and 4, the Ravens convert with a beautiful run from Lamar Jackson. His first rushing touchdown, believe it or not, the whole year. Tied at 10 of the fourth quarter, Manning would be denied, so Lamar gets a shot, and he would will the offense down the field again. Ravens have lost 6 games in a row, but they have a chance to get off the snide and upset the Colts, a team vying for a playoff spot. 76 yards rushing and a score from Lamar Jackson, but Lewis is stuffed here. An injury to Dwight Freeney stops the clock, which would pay huge dividends for Manning. Under 30 seconds left, he launches to a now healthy Raymond Berry, who goes 73 yards for the winning touchdown for the Colts. What a disastrous defensive effort from Baltimore down the stretch. Berry goes for 132, and the winning score for the Colts, setting up a division championship game potentially between the Titans, Oilers, and the Colts next week. League leader in sacks is Hall of Famer Gino Marchetti. The wild week of the all-time rosters franchise continues as the reeling all-time New York Jets play host to the division-leading Kansas City Chiefs, and they take them to task in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Curtis Martin punches it in for a touchdown, his 7th of the year. Patrick Mahomes and the all-time Chiefs have had a nightmare month of offensive football, scoring only 3 on the road in a New York victory, 10-3. The Chiefs fall to 8-5. Trey Hendrickson is one of only 12 players in NFL history with multiple 17-sack seasons, but here he'd get involved in the coverage game with an interception of Matt Schaub. setting up Joe Burrow, who has had a fabulous year for the all-time Bengals since joining the starting lineup due to the struggles of Cincinnati's Ken Anderson. Touchdown pass here, 5th of the year to Chad Johnson, and Burrow would slice him up again, 34 yards to Bob Trumpy. Cedric Benson, little-known third-string running back of this offense, sheds a tackle and goes the distance with time at 0 in the first half. Bengals win 31-3. All-time Cardinals have had a brutal year. 3 losses in the game's final minute and 2 of them in overtime. They battle the Niners today. In relief of the struggling Jim Hart, Kurt Warner has done his part. 5 touchdowns and just 1 interception in relief. But he tossed a brutal interception here. 63 career picks, 8th most in NFL history for Hall of Famer Ronnie Lott. He had 5 returned for touchdowns. 1 more in the all-time franchise. Niners lead it going away in the second half before a Frank Gore fumble turns the momentum around. Hall of Famer Night Train Lane, gone from 62, sparks the Cardinals as Kurt Warner would respond with 2 fourth-quarter touchdown passes. This to Rob Moore. Then after a Niners punt, a couple of passes to all-reliable Larry Fitzgerald would set up another touchdown to Rob Moore late in the game. This on 4th and inches to give the Cardinals the late lead. 2 two-point conversions both fail for Arizona, so their lead is just 1. Montana, with just a few seconds left, finds Kittle for 24, Kittle for another 5. Then on the final play of the game, he'd launch a prayer to Terrell Owens, who made the catch 2 and makes the catch 3. Triple zeros on the clock, he beats Lane again, and the Niners stun the Cardinals in the game's final play. The all-time Broncos have been tough to beat at home this year, 4-1 in Mile High. They battle the 9-time NFL champion Chicago franchise, and after the early strike, 5th of the year to Demaryius Thomas, the Bears would come crawling back and win the game in the final moments. Gale Sayers, part of a duo of running backs that both ironed out the clock for the Bears en route to their win on the road, 17-7. Bears are 9-4, but still a game back of the Packers in the NFC North. Hall of Fame quarterback Dan Fouts, top 4 in football in completion percentage, passing yards, and passing touchdowns. His 6-6 all-time Chargers battle 5-7 Buffalo. Great football game beginning with Sean Merriman, who returns an Allen fumble for a long touchdown return. Lights out for the Chargers, who have the early lead. Then Keenan Allen would make his imprint on the game, boxing out Butch Bird here in the first quarter, turns it upfield and is gone from 65. Allen would find the end zone again, 2 on the day and 5 touchdown catches, and a very productive year, especially down Lance Allworth to injury. Joe Cribbs in the third quarter would give the Bills some life, and if there's any franchise in the league that could circle the wagons, it is the all-time Buffalo Bills. Second pick of the day from Steve Freeman sets up another Buffalo touchdown. Thurman Thomas from 4 yards out would score once, then after this 35-yard completion to Elbert Dubenian, Thurman Thomas would find the end zone again. Bills come back to tie the game at 21. Next Fouts drive, a quarterback that had been dormant in the second half. He finds Antonio Gates, who had a fabulous day, 127 yards on 6 catches. He'd set up LaDainian Tomlinson late in the game with a touchdown to give the Chargers the late lead. Josh Allen playing in his debut due to the struggles of Jim Kelly. He'd try to will the Bills back in the game. Allen would go for it all, and that pass is incomplete. Fouts throws for 288 yards on the day. Allen held to 74, and the Chargers knock him out. After the Charger victory over Buffalo, that concludes every AFC game for Week 14 of the year. The Chargers join the Patriots and Raiders as 7-6 clubs that are in the hunt. Meanwhile, on the left, the division leaders, all 4 of them lost this week, making things even more competitive for the wild card chase, led by the 10-3 all-time Browns and the 8-5 all-time Colts. Now let's head to the NFC beginning on Sunday night as the all-time Giants battle first place Dallas. Roger Staubach has been prone to the big mistake this year, 14 touchdowns but 11 interceptions. He'd throw his typical early touchdown to the playmaker Michael Irvin, then one to the wrong team, an errant pass to Corey Webster, who returns 51 yards for the Giants touchdown. They're tied at 7, and then Tiki Barber would plunge it into the end zone. The final points of the day for the all-time Giants. Emmitt Smith, the NFL's all-time leading rusher, joins 5 other tailbacks with 1,000 rushing yards this year, and he's in the end zone for Dallas. Saquon Barkley stuffed on a third down. The Giants would not get the ball back. Fabulous day from Emmitt Smith and also from Hall of Famer Tony Dorsett as the Cowboys win by 8. 96 yards out of Smith, 73 yards, and a fabulous 1-2 punch from Tony Dorsett. The Cowboys are a win and some help away from clinching the division against the Bucs next week. Our final game of the week takes us to Monday night. All-time Seahawks play host to the all-time Rams. St. Louis, LA is 1 week removed from their blowout win against San Francisco. I don't know what happened, but they look nothing like that team in Seattle today. Richard Sherman with his 3rd pick of the year. Sean Alexander finds the end zone, and we have one of the most strangest results in the league this year. Kurt Warner is taken down twice in the end zone for safeties, Chad Brown and Jacob Green. Russell Wilson races in for his 3rd touchdown run of the season, and Seattle blows out the Rams 34-14. First 100-yard game of the season from Steve Largent. That loss pushed the Rams from the 1 seed all the way down to the 5 seed. San Francisco's the new leader out of the NFC West. Green Bay enjoys the NFC North lead at 10-3 overall. They visit the Chiefs this week. Dallas is the 3 seed. Tampa is the 4. The Bears are comfortably in the wild card picture, but they've got to keep on winning to jump ahead from the 6th spot. Before we sign off, let's commemorate the teams officially eliminated from postseason contention. All-time Houston Texans with 7 All-Pros and 1 Hall of Famer, this guy, Andre Johnson. The Texans have been eliminated from postseason contention. They danced with a couple quarterbacks as well, C.J. Stroud, Matt Schaub, and Deshaun Watson, none of them good enough to keep the Texans afloat in the AFC. And from that, we head to the surprise of the playoff eliminateds. The all-time Cardinals, despite 28 All-Pro players and 11 Hall of Famers, did not have enough to win a playoff spot, and they go down due to their lack of Super Bowl-era talent. They did win 2 NFL titles before the Super Bowl era. The all-time Atlanta Falcons are one of the 12 NFL franchises without a Super Bowl championship, and are one of the 5 all-time franchises eliminated from this league today. Matt Ryan and Michael Vick were the 2 quarterbacks in a platoon of signal callers for the Falcons. Deion Sanders, one of the 3 Hall of Famers for Atlanta, but they just didn't have enough talent throughout, and the Falcons go down in what was a disappointing season for Atlanta. The all-time Jacksonville Jaguars have just 6 All-Pro players and 1 Hall of Famer in left tackle Tony Boselli, so the expectations were very low for the Jacksonville franchise, and they are one of the first teams eliminated from postseason contention. They do have some talent. Maurice Jones-Drew scored his first touchdown of the year against Tampa last week, but not enough to stay alive in the postseason chase. Mark Brunell was one of the 2 starting quarterbacks to go down with injuries for Jacksonville. And the final team eliminated from the playoffs is ironically the franchise with the best win percentage in the NFL during the Super Bowl era. 57.4% wins since they were established in 1996. That is number 1 all time. They do have talent, guys like Lamar Jackson, Hall of Famers Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, but they just didn't have enough around them. Certainly a longer time in the NFL could give them more all-time players, but for now, the all-time Ravens in that tough division go down and are eliminated from postseason contention. Kudos to Roger Staubach and the all-time Cowboys for boasting the number 1 total offense in this league, followed by the Colts and the Rams. No surprise, the number 1 total defense in football is Chicago, followed by the Steelers, the Chiefs, and the all-time Eagles. After their big win against the Steelers, the best turnover differential team is Cleveland in what was a big win on the road. That concludes Week 14 of the All-Time Rosters franchise. Some major upsets to switch the apple cart around in this league, and that certainly makes Week 15 a doozy. Join us tomorrow for the Extra Point Recap Show and then the Injury Report and a preview of Week 15 as well, as this should be a very consequential week for this league. A lot of great games. We'll have all of it with full game presentations coming up this week. This is the all-time Rosters franchise with Georgia Dude 95.